They said if this lawn isn't fixed, I owe $1,200 and I don't have that.
So they think they can fine you for a yard they never cared about?
They said it's a violation that I let it get out of control.
Then watch closely, because after today, they won't recognize this yard or the mistake they just made.
I couldn't ignore the raw fear in Dorothy's eyes when she whispered about that $1,200 fine. Before we get into this, comment and tell me what city you're watching from. She stood there on the edge of her porch, her small, frail frame, leaning heavily against the doorframe for support. To anyone else, she was just an elderly woman in a stained apron. But as I looked at her trembling hands that had spent 50 years as a master seamstress, I saw a woman who was slowly losing her grip on the only world she had ever known. She told me the city's final notice felt like a death sentence, a cold piece of paper telling her that her lawn, the very yard she and her husband used to mow together, line by line, every single week for decades, was now classified as a public nuisance. She didn't have that kind of money. Most seniors living on a fixed income are just one broken appliance or one hospital bill away from disaster, and this fine was something she simply couldn't outrun. The yard around us told the whole story. This wasn't just grass growing too high. This was a lawn that had been abandoned by force, not by choice. The mowing lines were gone, replaced by uneven patches, thick crabgrass choking out what used to be clean stripes, edges completely swallowed, sidewalk lines blurred into the wild growth, like time had erased every trace of care. Right in the center, almost completely buried under waist-high grass, sat a circular brick pond. Dorothy's voice cracked as she told me. Her husband built that pond with his own hands 40 years ago, and after he finished, he made it a ritual. Every Saturday morning, he would mow perfect lines across the yard, then trim around the pond with precision, keeping the edges tight, clean, balanced. They would sit there in the evenings, looking out at the lawn, those crisp mowing lines stretching across the yard, like proof that everything in their life was still in place. But after he passed, everything changed. The mower sat untouched in the garage. The trimmer gathered dust, and her arthritis made it impossible to even walk the yard, let alone maintain it. To the city inspector, this was just an overgrown property, a violation, a hazard, something that needed to be corrected. But to Dorothy, this lawn wasn't just grass. Those lines, those edges, that routine, that was the last thing she had left of him. And she was terrified that if someone came in with a mower, they wouldn't understand. They would rush it, cut it wrong, destroy the patterns, erase what little connection she still had. I looked at the bright notice taped to her door, and then back at her, and I told her I wasn't there to cut her lawn like it was just another job. I was there to bring it back the way it was meant to be. If you believe people like Dorothy deserve help, drop A and follow, because what happened next changed everything.